Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Ali, Coram, and Ken Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session, Thursday, May 23rd, where we saw a stellar earnings report reaction for Nvidia, but a downside reversal for the market and the Dow's worst day, Ken, I think this year. So we've got some interesting cross currents going on right now.
Yeah, a little bit of market volatility out there, no doubt about it. The Nasdaq was up almost 1.2% intraday and reversed lower. So the selling picked up the pace basically after noon Eastern time. Let's take a look at some stocks. We did increase Novo Nordisk today, NVO in the leaderboard model portfolio, still looking strong. CROX, CROX, good response to earnings recently, and this stock is still fighting a good fight up near highs. And finally, Ryan Specialty in the insurance sector. Take a look at that, RYAN.
Sounds like a good plan, Ken. We'll do that. But first, let's take a look at those major indexes. As you mentioned, Ken, the NASDAQ reversing lower today, closing down 0.4%. Meanwhile, we have the S&P 500 here down about 0.75%. The Dow hit pretty hard today, down 1.5% by session's close, undercutting that 21-day line, coming close to the 50-day line. And the Russell 2000, which tracks small caps, look at this, down 1.7%, testing that 50-day line now.
Yeah, I want to say that it was, surging bond yields that fueled the selling, but it wasn't, it wasn't a huge move for the 10-year Treasury yield, but we did get some economic data. I think it was at 10 a.m. Eastern time. The Flash Composite Purchasing Managers Index came in much hotter than expected, and that fueled, you can see a little bit of a move for that 10-year yield. It did move above key levels. I think for the 10-year yield to really break out of a downtrend here, it's going to need to get above that 4.5% level, give or take. And market's probably not going to like that, and it may or may not happen. But had rising bond yields, and outside of that, listen, it was a great earnings report for Nvidia. Like I said, it fueled a early 1.2% gain for the Nasdaq, but looks like Nasdaq ended with a loss of 0.4%. Looks like a distribution day. Yeah, and you can see the afternoon selling pretty much afternoon Eastern time. But if we go back to the daily chart for the Nasdaq, you can see what distribution looks like. This is a pretty bearish outside day. You can see that big intraday range today for the Nasdaq, volume higher for the second session in a row. So, yeah, a little bit of a topsy-turvy market. We did some pruning on leaderboard today, kind of raised just a little bit of cash, but kind of a disappointing session, but Nasdaq got really close to that 17,000 level and got immediately turned away.
Yeah. So Ken, when we get a downside reversal off highs, a pickup in volume, an outside day, that's definitely not what we want to see at new high ground. Do you think that this is just a case of the market here getting ahead of itself, or really is it those inflation fears coming back front and center that could spark more volatility from here?
Yeah, well, I think so. We can't forget about the Fed that is still kind of debating what the economy is going to look like in the second half of the year. Are they going to be cutting rates this year? Are there going to be no rate cuts at all this year because of persistently or consistently strong economic data? So there's still a lot of uncertainty out there, but the market definitely gives you messages each day in its price and volume action. And today was nothing else. It was just a bearish session. So we felt good about raising some cash today, taking some profits here and there. We cut losses short in another name. So it seemed like a day to maybe be playing some defense, but disappointing for sure. But it was an outstanding report from Nvidia, no doubt about it.
Yes, which you and I and Leaderboard all own. A couple more levels to point out here on the chart, Ken, and that is that breakout area, two highs. So we cleared that 16,538 level from 321 on 515. So it seems like beyond the 10-day line, seeing support there would be nice, but we could come into the 21-day line. So I think a lot of focus for growth style investors is going to be on that moving average, at least traders who trade in the style of IBD.
I think tomorrow is going to be a very important session. It seems like all days are important in the stock market, but I think tomorrow is going to be important to see how the Nasdaq responds to the sell-off today. If we get if we get a rally in paltry volume, it's not going to be that impressive in light of the higher volume decline today. We could rally in stronger volume and recoup a lot of what we lost today. But I think just tomorrow will be important. We're going to watch how the leaders are acting. But you have to call a spade a spade. It was a bearish performance for the indexes today. But like you said, the Nasdaq is still holding above short-term support levels. It could eventually find support here. If the Nasdaq continues lower tomorrow, again, just pay attention to that volume. We're seeing some subtle signs of distribution, including today. So risk level just after today seems to be a little more elevated now.
Mhm. Okay. Well, we'll see what tomorrow brings. We know how important Fridays are to close off the week. So we'll have to see what we get there. Let's also take a look at two breadth measures. Here's RSP, the equal weighted S&P 500 ETF, down almost 1.4% today. So essentially doubled the decline here, Ken, than the S&P 500. And then if we look at QQEW, a downside reversal here of 1% versus the QQQ down about 0.5%. So here too, underneath the surface, it seems like breadth is struggling, at least today.
Yeah, well, I mean, even when the Nasdaq was up sharply during the first couple hours of trading, I mean, breadth on the Nasdaq was negative. It was more than 2-to-1 negative on the Nasdaq and close to 4-to-1 negative on the S&P 500. Early in the session. So I think both of those ETFs that you mentioned, RSP and QQEW, are just reflective of the weak breadth that was in the market all day today. So one down session is not going to kill an uptrend. I think the market, again, over the next couple of days will be sending us little daily messages, and we're going to have to interpret the market and make adjustments if we need to. But again, just kind of raising a little cash after a day like today didn't seem like too bad an idea.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's now take a look at NVO because there are some bright spots. NVO making a nice move here as of late, up 1.1% today as it continues its uptrend and carves the right side of a cup.
Yeah, relative strength line still up near highs, and yeah, just like the way this is trading. So it's getting very difficult to find stocks that are in bases that are up near highs. I mean, the number of extended stocks out there because of the market, because of the run that we've been on, there's a lot of extended stocks. But we want to pay attention to a name like Novo Nordisk, which is in the leaderboard model portfolio, right along with Eli Lilly. But I still think Novo Nordisk. We actually increased this position earlier in the session, but you can see Novo got pulled down with the broad market. But I think there's still a compelling fundamental story here with Ozempic and their weight loss drug Wegovy. And I mentioned Eli Lilly is right there with Novo Nordisk in a very similar setup, showing strength and holding near highs.
All right. Next on our list, let's take a look at Crocs because we've had a number of footwear stocks on our radar as of late, and Crocs right up there as it forms a handle, Ken.
Yeah, and watch and see how the stock traded today. Closed with a gain. Looks like it closed up in the middle upper half of its range. Volume rose a little bit from the prior session, so this is still a good setup. And I'm looking at Deckers in after hours, and I'm seeing that stock making a very nice move. So when these kind of trendy footwear makers report strong earnings, they can kind of rise as a group. So seeing Deckers up about 7% in after hours trading, and we'll see if that can help help Crocs tomorrow. Really nice gap up on earnings earlier in the week or earlier. For Crocs, and it's again holding near highs and showing relative strength. And here's Deckers, which looks like it could be a breakaway gap tomorrow. So we'll see what it looks like in the morning.
Okay. And last but not least, let's take a look at ticker RYAN. This is Ryan Specialty in the insurance group. Ken, we got some ants after the last earnings report, a new base here, a little bit of So speaking of volatility, a little bit of
Yeah.
volatile action on the bottom portion of the base here around the most recent earnings report, but it's getting very close to recent highs.
Yeah, still looks good. Insurance sector stocks tend to do well in a higher interest rate environment. And again, that script hasn't or the narrative fully hasn't played out yet. We don't know if interest rates are going to start heading higher here, but if they do, the insurance sector could be an area of outperformance. So Ryan Specialty, they don't do property and casual. They basically supply specialty products to brokers, agents, carriers, and act as basically a broker. So good solid name here, in a good base, and maybe it forms a handle here and starts to drift lower near this 55 area. But for an insurance stock, I think this is one that should be front and center. It's got good annual earnings estimates. You can see the bottom line and top line growth. Real steady track record of growth here. So I think in the insurance space, this is one to watch as well.
All right. So, Ken, heading into tomorrow's session, what do you think is the most important thing for traders to be focused on right now?
Well, I think it's probably just focused on the stocks that you have in your portfolio. Because if you've been paying attention and you were in the market back in late October, early November last year, you probably still have some nice winners. But now is the time to just kind of take a look at holdings and see which ones are really doing well, and see which ones that have been kind of sluggish. So just pay attention to your holdings. Like I said, we trimmed some stuff in the leaderboard model portfolio today that and we're really giving our winners more room to run. So we didn't do anything with Nvidia today. First Solar had a really solid day. That's a new addition to leaderboard. And you can see this stock was down less than 1%. After
Wow.
2 days of strong gains. So we didn't feel like we needed to take any profits here because of the strong price action. So just always pay attention to your current holdings, and above all else, just kind of watch price and volume in the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. It looks like we're going to add a distribution day to the count today, and we don't want to see too many of them because. You get too many distribution days and it can really stop a rally in its track. So, not ready to get fully bearish here yet, but just recognizing very weak price action when we see it, and just
Yeah.
making adjustments.
Exactly. All right, and we're still in a power trend, so we'll
hmm
just have to see what tomorrow brings. All right, thank you, Ken, and thanks everyone for tuning in. That is it from us for today. And tomorrow morning on IEBD Live, we're going to be joined by special guest Charles Harris, portfolio manager at O'Neill Global Advisors. Always great to get his perspective on the market action and sectors that he's focused on, and how he handles his portfolio and trade ideas. So make sure to join us, investors.com/IB Live, for all those details. We will see you there. And then we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the closing bell with Mike Webster to wrap up the week. See you then.